So now we know what generation is, how it's measured, where it comes from and who provides it, we need to understand why it's needed. As I've already mentioned repeatedly, the supply of electricity must meet demand. But what on earth do I mean by demand? Demand simply refers to the amount of electricity being used at any given time. Therefore, the more electricity being used, the higher the demand. When people talk about demand, they're usually referring to the amount of energy being used at a single point in time, which is measured in watts. You may have heard peak demand figures quoted before. This is the moment at which the country is using the most electricity in a given time frame, and in Great Britain, it's most often quoted in gigawatts. For example, in 2021, peak demand in Great Britain was just over 43 gigawatts. Consumption, on the other hand, refers to the total amount of electricity used in a given time frame. It's measured in some magnitude of watt-hours. For example, electricity consumption across the whole of 2021 was 260 terawatt hours, or 260 million megawatt hours. So, where does demand come from? Well, anything or anyone that uses electricity. As I mentioned in the previous episode, energy suppliers have to purchase enough electricity to meet their customers' demands based on demand forecasts. But who's responsible for ensuring that supply and demand are balanced at all times? In Great Britain, the organisation that manages this is National Grid Electricity System Operator, or National Grid ESO for short. National Grid ESO ensures that there is never too much or too little electricity on the system at any given time, in order to keep the lights on. Basically, if there's too much electricity passing through the system, things go bang and break, and if there's not enough electricity passing through the system, your lights won't come on at all. National Grid ESO also carries out a number of other roles, such as managing frequency and voltage, but we'll come back to those in a future series. So, energy suppliers predict how much demand there'll be from customers and then purchase that electricity from generators. It's worth remembering here that the amount of electricity needed in Great Britain can't be stored, so it has to be generated, transmitted, distributed, and consumed continuously in real time. So, generators and suppliers inform National Grid ESO of how much generation and demand there'll be, at what times and where. Because these forecasts will never be entirely accurate, National Grid ESO has to balance supply and demand in real time. They do this by finding extra generation to cover any shortfall, or by decreasing generation to alleviate any oversupply. So, now you know what's meant by generation and demand. In the next episode, I'll explain how electricity travels from where it's produced to where it's needed. I'll see you there.